the Jewish people who have a progressive milieu and they have progressive friends and they get all these terrible things they hear from their progressive friends about how horrible Israel is and that why are we doing a genocide? If we suffer from a genocide, why are we perpetrating this thing? And they don't have answers. They don't know how to address these questions.
And the questions are so charged that even if you try to answer, you are targeted as being defensive or paranoid or drawing illegitimate parallels, even though that is something that is very common within the rhetoric of not only the other side, but also those Jews who are anti-Israel because they simply are just invested in being accepted and playing their social justice games and saying our Jewish rights do not matter. And it's the willingness for us to subjugate ourselves as having equal Jewish rights that allows other people to believe the lies that are spread about Israel, the blood libels, the drinking of the blood, you name it. The blood libels of yesterday have just regurgitated themselves in a new way.
Absolutely.
And actually, you mentioned something about, we got to talk about it again and again. And I'm sure you've seen these interviews even that are taking place with hostage family members. And, there's the sister of Romy Gonen is being interviewed by one of the interviewers, and then right in the middle rolls her eyes.
Rolls her eyes.
A few months ago, another newscaster rolls her eyes when the hostages get mentioned or when the women being raped get mentioned. They roll their eyes. Why do we have to talk about it again? And as a Holocaust educator, I have been told again and again, we've had enough of you Jews in your gas chambers. Get over it. Well, we haven't even gotten through a year since this massacre.
Yeah.
And within a week, the empathy died out, and we're already being told, shut up. We don't want to hear about it. There's no need to talk about it again. Get over it.
So here's the thing. So
how do you answer that?
So there are two things I want to address in what you just said. One is again to zoom out, to disconnect the conversation from the Arab-Israeli conflict, from Israel-Hamas conflict, right? Okay. Because we're not going to win a war of who's the worst victim. We're not going to win this war. We don't like to be the victim. Right? That's why it took Israel such a long time to release even a portion of the videos of the atrocities. We don't like to present ourselves as victims. It's not good. And you know what? I get it. And so we don't like that conversation at all. But even if we did, there are images coming out of Gaza which are horrible. And there's more of them. Right? And so we're not going to win this competition. We need to move away from the discourse of who has it worse. And we have to go to values. We have to talk about values. We have to talk about the intent. We have to talk about jihad. We have to talk about jihad. We have to talk about...
Wait a second then, Uri. Hang on. If you're going to raise the question of jihad, you are stepping on some pretty thin ice here of, wait a second, you are Islamophobic. You have now showed that you're actually hate Arabs. Right by mentioning jihad, you have eliminated all rights of Arabs because, of course, you can't talk about one without somehow insulting even the moderates. I don't know where these moderates are. I'm sure they exist out there. I am proud to say I have many friends who are Christian and Arab and Muslim, and they do believe in Israel and our pursuit of peace and freedom through this just war. But their lives are also threatened endlessly, even by their own Arab and Muslim and Christian communities here in Israel and around the world. So how do you get around that? How do you bring up jihad and say, wait a second, this isn't Islamophobia. This is a fight so that all of us are making sure. You mentioned that this is, already immersed in what will become known as World War III. You and I have spoken about that a lot. We're in the war. How do we do that, fight this war, identify the enemy without being accused of saying, it's all Islamophobia and we are violating the rights of Muslims/Arabs in the world? How do you navigate it? Most people simply don't know how.